Hey everybody, I caught some sheepshead today, so I kind of wanted to go over a couple things on sheepshead. Everybody says they're really hard to fillet. A lot of people don't like that about them. They're kind of bony, and I'll agree they're really scaly. But it's not too bad if you kind of do it from the inside out, and I'll show you guys that. But a couple things on the fish here. Sheepshead, again, they look a lot like juvenile black drums sometimes. You got these dark vertical bars here. They kind of fade a little bit after they die. They got very stiff dorsal spines here. These will poke you pretty good. The anal fin here, a few, 3 spines there, a couple in the pelvic fins here. And of course, they're pretty famous for these teeth. Come on in closer. They're really human looking teeth, and they got crushers in here because they eat a lot of oysters, barnacles, shellfish, stuff like that. They're crushing stuff up all the time. But pretty good eating, pretty good white meat. So without further ado, show you guys how to clean this thing, or how I clean this thing. I don't think it's too much trouble. A lot of people think it is, but all right. So primarily, I guess my first #1 priority would be is I don't really want to try to cut this fish through the scales like this, because I'm not. This blade isn't going to cut through scales like that. I kind of want to always cut from the inside outward. So I'm going to start at the anal vent here. Kind of run just along the inside of the skin. I don't want to stab too deep into the guts. Normally I jam one finger in the gill plate, one finger in the eyeball, gives you pretty good control over them. Put the blade on the inside and poke outward there, and same thing on this side. Alright, I'm cutting from the inside out. It's pushing the scales off as I'm coming out. I'm not having to cut through the scales. They're still going to stick to the blade, but now I kind of want to cut up here. The gut cavity comes way back here. I'm not worried about that yet. I just want to get the head and the guts out of here for now. So I want to cut a line like this and try to cut up on the head a little bit. So I'm going to take the blade, and from the inside I'm going to kind of treat it like a can opener and just kind of open them up from the inside. But this way I don't have to cut through the scales. I'm going to try to follow this line. If you'll feel with your finger, there's a line right here where the bone stops. Just push it, pull up on the back handle of it, and it'll just open them right up. Once you get the scales open, then you can kind of cut down there. There are some bones down in here. We'll get to that in a minute. Cut that free on the top of the head. Flip them over. Same thing. Start from the inside here. Cut that up, the gut cavity up to the top of the gut cavity there. It's March. These guys are spawning. All of this yellow stuff, this is roe. This is a pregnant fish, right? These are the eggs. That's the roe. All of them, all the fish out there probably have this right now. All right, so I want to do the same thing here. Cut from the inside out. Just pull that up. Now, I've cut down all the way down to the bone in here. And if with these smaller fish, you can kind of just take the head and grab it like this and push down and twist, and that spine will snap. Pull the head back. Most of the time the guts and everything come off with the head. A lot of times it'll still be attached here. Normally you just cut that one piece free, and that's all free and clear. I take that off, get rid of that, rinse all this off before you take the fillets. Alright, so we've got our fish rinsed off here. It's all pretty much clean, so we don't get any, I don't like to get any of the gut or bile juice, any of that on my fillets. You should probably strive to do the same and try to keep your fillets clean. Alright, so what I want to do now is, there's kind of a liner in here. This was from Air Bladder. Kind of cut this back a little bit. Kind of see it goes to the backbone here. The bottom of the cavity, there's bones, and the ribs come off the sides here. Right here in the middle, the spine comes up right there, and you got bones vertical going to the top here. I want to basically go just on my side of the vertical bones, push that out. Follow the bones and kind of follow that. Cut that corner free right there. Then take the blade again from the inside, always cutting from the inside out. And run this down the spine, and I mean it'll almost open itself. I mean it really wants to cut along there anyway. When you get down here to the base, make sure you're right against the spine. Go ahead and push that through and just cut that free. Now, we got the whole top of this open. I could take my blade and just start pushing it down against the bone and it'll just follow the bone and make a real nice neat cut all the way down to the spine here. All right, same thing all the way down the tail. Now, right here in the middle, we hit a stop. Boom, we hit the spine. The spine running vertically here, or horizontally. We need to take the blade and go kind of a little bit up and over and then back down the other side of that to try to get all the meat off of here. There's rib bones up front. The front half of this you're not going to be able to cut through. I would leave that alone right now. I just want to take this second half free by cutting around the center here, pushing that blade down as flat as I can get it as I'm pulling this apart. Okay, now I've got this here, I've got the spines here. I need to get this free. I want to cut this free here, but I don't want to get this fin. If I try to cut it from here, I usually end up with some of this. So what I'm going to do is, if I stab through right here, it's going to come out right here on this side of the spine. So I'm going to start on this side. I'm going to go just my side. You can kind of see through there already, right there. I'm going to kind of poke this on my side of the bones, and I'm just going to cut that free and leave that fin behind. Cut this up. Now, the only thing holding it at this point are the bones here. To free this from these bones, instead of trying to saw through it with your knife, hold the fish down. If you take this fillet and pry it from the back forward, push upwards like this, and I use my hand like a can opener again, shove my hand up, push up as I'm doing this, and it'll kind of just ratchet those bones. They'll pop right off of there. Just be careful. Don't try to do this real hard, real fast. Sometimes those bones will cut you. But with these smaller fish, I can literally just grab it and just peel it forward, and the bones come apart here, just comes free. So I still got to clean this up a little bit, but I did not. The problem with taking your blade and cutting straight down the fish on the spine like this is you leave a thin layer of meat here. There's not a lot to begin with, so you're leaving a lot behind. You can go back and trim it off afterwards, but then it's so thin, it gets so crispy in the fryer, it's almost not worth, it's just not worth the trouble. But do that on the other side, get them all completely clean. When you get it to here, ultimately there's bones that run around this. This is the stomach lining. You don't want any of this. You got bones in here. We basically want to cut around these bones in here. Now here you're going to kind of probably cut through a little bit of bone to get this off, but they're small bones. Cut that free there. Once I've kind of made the cuts here, I'm going to kind of, I don't want that anyway, it's gone. Now I got nothing but usable meat here on the skin. I still need to get rid of the skin. So starting on the tail end, I'm going to kind of cut down and just separate a little flap. Once I get the knife where I can get it underneath here, the important thing is as I start cutting this fillet free, I need to hold the skin back here somewhere, or it'll start kind of bunching up and you'll start cutting through the skin. Sheepshead are actually pretty easy. The scales are really thick, so this will come off here with not much problem, but kind of want to hold the skin down. Normally I'll just take the tip of my thumb, take this blade, and I see a lot of people take their knife and they're trying to saw through like this. You're not cutting through like this. Please don't saw like this. Literally the angle of the blade matters a lot. If you want just a little bit of a downward angle on this thing, and what I would suggest, the best way I can describe it is keeping it at this angle is to pull, and you're doing a figure 8 motion like this, but you're pushing it through the meat while you're making this motion. You're not really trying to saw through it so much as making a motion and letting, a little bit of pressure behind it work its way through, right? It's kind of hard to explain. But I'm not trying to saw through it like this. You'll end up, if you angle that blade upward just a little bit, it will catch the meat and start planing upward, and you'll leave big chunks of meat behind. But this way you get every little bit of it all the way down to, all the way down to the skin. This red stuff you don't want in here anyway. Normally what I would do from here is, especially as if you're going to fry it, is where this top piece, this bottom piece, I'd separate them right down the middle here. I just cut that middle section out to get rid of this red stuff. Just cut that out, cut that into 2 pieces, and then batter them up, throw them in the fryer. All right, that's it.